My girlfriend demanded, "Stop talking to your therapist about our relationship. It's private." I was in therapy for depression after my best friend's suicide. I said, "I need professional help." She threatened to leave if I didn't quit. I said, "Then leave." When I chose mental health over her ultimatum. Original post. I, 27 male, lost my best friend to suicide 11 months ago. His name was, actually, I'm not going to use names here. I'll just call him my best friend. We grew up on the same street, played on the same little league team when we were 9. We're roommates freshman year of college because we requested each other. He was the best man speech I'd already started writing in my head, even though I wasn't even engaged yet. That kind of friend. He killed himself on a Tuesday in March. I found out from his sister, who called me at 6 a.m. because I was his emergency contact and the hospital had called her. I picked up the phone expecting it to be a butt dial because who calls at 6 a.m.? And instead I heard a sentence that split my life into before and after. I'm not going to get into the details of his death because they're not mine to share and because this post isn't about that. It's about what came after. Specifically, what came after I started trying to put myself back together and the person who was supposed to support me decided my healing was an inconvenience. I started therapy about 3 weeks after the funeral. I didn't want to. I'm from a family where men handle things, and therapy is what happens to other people. But I wasn't sleeping. I'd lost 12 pounds because food tasted like cardboard. I was showing up to work. I'm a civil engineer. I design drainage systems, which is exactly as boring as it sounds, and staring at my screen for hours without typing anything. My supervisor pulled me aside and asked if I was okay, and I said, "Yeah, I'm fine," and then went to the bathroom and sat on the floor for 20 minutes. So I found a therapist, guy who specializes in grief and trauma. I go every Thursday at 4:30. It's been 9 months. It's the hardest thing I do every week and also the thing that's kept me from going under. I talk about my best friend. I talk about the guilt because there's always guilt. The what did I miss? Why didn't I call that week? Could I have done something? I talk about my childhood, my family, the way I was taught to swallow everything. And yes, I talk about my relationship because my therapist isn't just there for one problem. He's there for my whole life. That's how therapy works. My girlfriend, 26F, and I have been together for 2 years. She was there when my best friend died. She came to the funeral. She held me that first week when I couldn't stop shaking. I will always give her credit for that. But somewhere around month 3, her patience for my grief started running out. It started with small comments. "You seem down again today," said with a sigh instead of concern. "Are you still thinking about that?" Like grief has an expiration date. I just feel like you're never fully here anymore. Which was probably true, but hearing it as an accusation rather than an observation didn't help. I told her that therapy was helping and that I needed to keep going. She said she was glad. And for a while, things were okay. Then about 2 months ago, we were in the car driving home from dinner with her parents. Conversation was normal. And then she said, out of nowhere, "Do you talk about us in therapy?" I said, "Sometimes, yeah. My therapist asks about my relationships because they're part of my mental health." She went quiet. Not the comfortable quiet. The loaded quiet. What do you tell him? I don't know, general stuff. How we're doing. Things I'm working through. Things you're working through about US? About everything. He knows about my best friend, my work, my family, and yeah, my relationship. It's all connected. She didn't say anything for the rest of the drive, but I could feel it building, like humidity before a storm. A week later, we were eating dinner in my apartment, and she brought it up again. I've been thinking about the therapy thing. I'm not comfortable with you sharing details about our relationship with a stranger. Me, he's not a stranger. He's a licensed therapist. He's someone I've never met who now knows private things about me and about us. That's not okay. Me, everything I say in therapy is confidential. He can't tell anyone, and I'm not giving him a play-by-play of our arguments. I'm processing my life, which includes you because you're a big part of my life. I don't care about confidentiality. I care about the principle. Our relationship is between US, not us and some guy with a notepad. Me, the guy with the notepad, is the reason I'm still functioning. I was falling apart 9 months ago. You saw it. And I'm glad therapy helped with the grief stuff. But the grief stuff and our relationship are two different things. Talk about your friend, talk about your feelings, whatever. But leave us out of it. I took a breath. I can't do that. My therapist needs the full picture to help me. If I start censoring what I share, the whole process breaks down. Then maybe you don't need it anymore. It's been almost a year. At some point, you have to move forward. That sentence, at some point you have to move forward, hit me in a way I don't think she understood. Because my best friend's family hasn't moved forward. His sister still texts me sometimes at 2 a.m. because she can't sleep. His mom sends me photos of him on holidays. Moving forward isn't a switch you flip because it's been a convenient number of months. I said, I'm not quitting therapy. She said, then at least stop talking about us. I said, I need professional help with all of it. That includes us. She stood up from the table, grabbed her jacket, and said, if you keep going to that therapist and talking about me behind my back, I'm done. I mean it. I looked at her, and I said, then leave. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. I don't think anyone had ever called her bluff before. She stood there for about 10 seconds and then walked out. Didn't slam the door. Just pulled it shut quietly, which was somehow worse. I sat at the table for a long time after she left. Finished my food, even though I wasn't hungry, because my therapist has been working with me on the not eating thing, and I'm trying to keep the habit even when everything in me says don't bother. Washed the dishes. Sat on the couch. Thought about calling her. Thought about calling my best friend, which I still do sometimes. Reach for the phone before my brain catches up to reality. Instead, I called his sister. We talked for about an hour. She told me about a grief support group she'd joined and that she thought I'd like it. I said I'd think about it. She said, please don't stop therapy. Please. You're the one person in his life who's actually dealing with this instead of pretending it didn't happen. That call is the reason I'm writing this. Because it reminded me of what the stakes actually are. This isn't about winning an argument with my girlfriend. This is about staying alive in the fullest sense, about not becoming the next person someone gets a 6 a.m. phone call about. So yeah, my girlfriend gave me an ultimatum, her or therapy. And I chose therapy. I don't know if that makes me a bad boyfriend. I don't know if I'm going to regret it. But I know that every Thursday at 4:30, I sit in a room with someone who's helping me carry the weight of a loss that almost crushed me. And I'm not giving that up because someone is uncomfortable with being mentioned in a confidential conversation. That's where I am. I'll update if things develop. Right now, I'm just sitting with it. Update 1, 8 days later. So things developed. Faster and uglier than I expected. After the then leave conversation, my girlfriend didn't contact me for 3 days. I didn't reach out either. I went to work, I went to therapy on Thursday, told my therapist everything, including the ultimatum, because of course I did, and I existed in this weird limbo where I wasn't sure if I was single or not. On the 4th day, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. I was making a sandwich. Turkey on rye. She walked in, she has a key, and sat on the bar stool in my kitchen and said, I've been doing some research. In my experience, nothing good follows that sentence. I've been reading about therapy, and I think the issue is your therapist specifically. He's encouraging you to be dependent on the process. A good therapist will be working toward ending sessions, not keeping you hooked indefinitely. Me, he's not keeping me hooked. I'm going because I need to. You think you need to because he's conditioned you to think that. It's a business model. The longer you stay, the more he gets paid. Me, he charges $150 a session, $80 after insurance. He's not getting rich off my grief. I'm not saying he's evil. I'm saying he has a financial incentive to keep you coming back. And part of keeping you coming back is making you think your relationship has problems that need to be discussed in therapy. I put the sandwich down. Our relationship does have problems. You just gave me an ultimatum about my mental health treatment. That's a problem. Relationship stuff is problems, so you keep showing up. I could feel my jaw tighten. That's not a business model. That's clinical depression. I supported you through all of that. I was there, but this has gone past grief. This is